Today was my day off. Well, actually, I work from home on Wednesdays, but I had completed most of my designs on the weekend, so I only had to spend a bit of time on the upcoming project plan. It wouldn't have taken more than a couple of hours to do anyway. Except, I didn't manage to do anything at all, because of the kid that sat at the foot of my bed when I woke up. I have to say, I am deeply embarrassed at the numerous curses that unfurled out of my mouth when I first spotted it. I mean, screaming, "Get out, you! See you next Tuesday," at a child that couldn't have been older than 6 years old, was not the most appropriate thing to do. But, to be fair, a random child sitting on your bed in the morning would elicit a strong reaction from just about anyone. Maybe not a series of swears, but certainly fright at a minimum. I fumbled around for my glasses, and after putting them on, I was able to take a good look at them. Her. She was small, so my assumption that she was around 6 seemed correct. She was tanned with long brown hair and a fringe covering her forehead. It was a similar color to mine. Chubby cheeks and a school uniform on. My old primary school uniform. That was really weird. She was visibly shaken from my words. "Why are you swearing?" she exclaimed, shocked at my outburst. I blinked. "Who are you?" "What do you mean? I'm you." She looked at me, confused. I coughed, choking up at her words. "What do you mean? What is this? Is this a prank?" I quickly hopped out of bed and immediately covered myself. In my haste, I'd forgotten that I only sleep in my knickers, so I screeched for her to turn around. She did, in embarrassment, before she turned back around, defiantly. "Why should I? I'm you." "Ew, why are you so chunky?" she stated in horror. I quickly put on my dressing gown. "I'm not," I said through gritted teeth. I composed myself again. "Seriously though, who are you? Where are your parents?" "Our parents," she corrected, hopping off of the bed. She looked at my alarm clock. "It's 11 o'clock. Why are you still sleeping?" "Because it's my day off." I scoffed. I couldn't believe I was having a conversation with this girl. This child. Why was I entertaining her? I watched in annoyance as she traipsed around my small apartment, picking things up and not putting them back in their place. "Can you sit still for 1 minute and tell me where your parents are? If not, I'll call the police," I stated, sternly. She sat down on my sofa compliantly. "Why would you call the police? They already told you I was coming." She scoffed, sticking her nose up in the air. "Who's they?" "The people that sent me here, obviously. You should have had a phone call from them." For a moment, I actually considered whether she was telling the truth. I never pick up calls from numbers I don't recognize. But even so, the whole situation was so ridiculous that there was no feasible way there was any truth to her words. Plus, you can't call the police, she said, looking in disgust at the cigarette packet I had left on the coffee side table. I grabbed at them sheepishly and put them in my pocket. I can't believe you smoke. Why can't I call the police? I guffawed in awe of her confidence. Because, silly, time has stopped. If you were outside, you would have noticed. She pointed to the window. And, to my horror, she was correct. Everyone outside was stood perfectly still, as if they were frozen. A man walking his dog, with both of them meticulously balancing mid-stride. A woman about to take a bite of her sandwich. A cyclist stopped in the middle of the road. I see. I laughed, scratching my head. I must still be dreaming. You're not, she said in annoyance, clearly frustrated at my refusal to take her seriously. I can't believe future me is such a letdown. Is that alcohol? I had forgotten to clear up after friends had visited a few days ago. I was going to do it today, I swear. Yes, it is. I'm an adult. I promised Mummy I would never drink alcohol, or smoke. She folded her arms, shaking her head. Oh, really? I taunted, then changed my tone. She was still a child after all. Life changes a lot when you grow older. You're only, what, like 6? I'm 8, she huffed. And I know. That's why I'm here, she said, kicking her small legs up. 8 made sense. She was far too eloquent to be 6. Well, what do you want to know? I asked, finally settling down into my armchair. This perked her up, and before she could begin, I interjected with another question. Wait, before that, I need to check if you are, actually me. What was the name of our first favorite stuffed toy? Without a beat, she answered, Blue Bear. I was a little bit shocked, but it was also not the most imaginative of names. So I asked her another. What's our... I struggled to think of something that my 8-year-old self did or liked. What's our least favorite food? Kiwi. Okay. 2 for 2. I needed to think of something no one bar myself would be able to know the answer to. What are we most afraid of? She paused for a second, before hesitating to answer. In a small, weak voice, she responded, Uncle Harry. My heart sank. She was correct. I felt like a villain, making a small child have to speak about such a horrible thing. Something that I, as an adult, have at least been able to work through somewhat. I stood up and sat down next to her, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. Well, I suppose they were my shoulders at some point, but it felt too strange to call her by myself as well. I passed her a tissue, to aid her sniffles. "I'm sorry. Are you hungry?" I asked in an attempt to soothe her. Instantly, her eyes lit up, and she nodded fervently. "Okay, what would you like?" "Pancakes." So, I did just that. I rustled up some pancakes and provided her with some lemon and sugar to put on top. I don't have Nutella, which I knew was what she really wanted, but she still ate them happily. "So, why is it you're here again?" I asked, looking up at my clock. It still said 11 a.m., even though it had definitely been over an hour since she'd been here. Through mouthfuls of food, she started to explain. "I'm here to see my future, and how it turns out. So I have a lot of questions." She swallowed. "Do you have a boyfriend?" I choked on coffee, but I should have expected it. What else would a young girl want to know than if she'd met her Prince Charming? No. I did have one once, but that was the only time." "What do you mean? When? Why?" She quizzed, and I tried to think of a way to phrase my response in a way that wouldn't have made her head explode. Though, if I recalled correctly, I don't think younger me was bigoted in any way. "Well, first of all, it was when I was 15. A boy called Joe, who was in my class. Our class. Your future class? I don't know how to word this. I'll just say my class so it's easier." She nodded. It didn't last long. We only kissed once, and then decided we weren't compatible. Then I never dated any boys again. "Did he break your heart?" she exclaimed, and I almost burst out laughing. No, nothing like that. I did date lots of people afterwards. Just not boys." I saw the cogs turning in her head. "You're lesbian?" she asked, shocked, her fork dropping on her plate. I panicked for a moment. Was this the wrong thing to say? She continued. "That's weird, because I'm not a lesbian." Well, a better response than I was expecting from her shocked expression. I knew not to explain any further, so I just shrugged. "No, you're not. I am, though." That's strange. Even though you're me," she stated. "Anyway, are you a pop star?" That time, I did laugh out loud. It was so unbelievably endearing to hear the childish expectations that younger me had for myself, albeit slightly melancholic. But obviously, through growing up, I departed from such ideals. "Not at all. Do you think I look like a pop star?" "Not really. Pop stars are much skinnier," she said bluntly. Ouch, once again. "So, what job will I have?" Wow. It doesn't get any less bizarre to hear her talking about my life like it's hers as well, even though it technically will be. "I'm a graphic designer for a tech company." Sorry, not going to reveal where I work.
Oh, so we draw. I like drawing.
She squeaked excitedly.
Do we make art then?
Not really. We use tools on the computer to create designs for backgrounds and logos that the tech company need. She looked at me in confusion.
We don't draw dogs. Oh.
She was clearly dejected by the whole ordeal.
I only have one more question,
she stated, sadly.
What is it?
For some reason, I felt unsettled by her demeanor.
Are we happy?
It was like a punch to the gut. Such an intense question from such a small being. From me. Younger me. For a moment I felt my eyes well up a bit. What was I supposed to say? I mean, if I'm being honest, I'm not. I feel drained and burnt out. I feel like I've missed out on lots of opportunities. I haven't lived life the way I wanted to. I smoke and drink more often than I should. I don't have any romantic partners. My dating life is in shambles. I barely have a relationship with our parents. Do I lie to her and tell her everything will be alright? That this life is actually a lot better than it looks? That, despite being better, Uncle Harry never leaves us, no matter what therapy or support we receive. That the shadow never goes away. No, I'm not. I stated. It's best to be honest. As she could tell I was.
Thank you. That's all I need to know.
She smiled forlornly.
I'll be going now.
What? Why? I asked. Part of me wanted her to stay. I wanted to know more about her. The part of myself I had forgotten for so long.
I have everything I need to know. Thank you for answering my questions.
Wait. Can I ask you something? She turned back to me, and then pondered for a moment.
Okay.
What was all of this? Why are you here? Really? She looked at me in confusion.
I already told you. To see what my future is.
I know that, but why? Why do you need to know? I burst out, desperate to get to the bottom of what she meant. I don't understand. Deep down, I did though.
So I can change it? So I don't become you anymore?
She stated nonchalantly, her eyes expressing a distance that I hadn't noticed prior. But what will happen to me?
Well, you'll disappear, obviously. But that's fine, isn't it? You already said you were unhappy, and I don't want to become you.
My heart was sinking further and further into the abyss of my stomach. I know I said that, but I don't want to disappear. I can change. I can become better. She looked at me with a slight pity, a sympathetic nod that appreciated my desperation, but never quite understood nor cared for it. I suppose that makes sense. because she doesn't truly know me. I am a distant warning, a life that she hopes never to return to. To her, I am a mere adult with her likeness, name, and same childhood. Everything I had experienced after I was 8 is something she knows nor cares anything for. She smiled one last time.
You won't disappear right away. Just once I become who I want to be.
Then she disappeared completely. I hadn't even blinked, and she was gone. If it weren't for the plate and cutlery that once held her pancakes, I would have considered that it all had been a dream. I looked up at the clock. 11:01 a.m. Rushing back to the living room window, I saw the people had begun to move. The man and his dog walked, the cyclist cycled, and the woman on the bench swallowed a large chunk of her sandwich. In the corner of my eye, I saw it. A scrunched up ball of tissue that younger me had blew her nose into. At that point, there was no doubt in my mind that this was all very, very real, and the persistent dread that racked my body was only further confirmation of such. So that's that. I babysat my younger self, and now I'm filled with the existential dread that, at some point, I will cease to exist, erased from time, completely. A mistake. Yet, as I record this, there is a small part of me that feels almost happy. Not for myself, but for her. The me that I neglected. Maybe she will have a better life than the one I never managed to live properly. I suppose I shouldn't have let the cynicism of adult life overwhelm me.
Hello, Sinister listeners. If you've enjoyed this story, then you'll find all the author's information in the description below. For more content, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to succumb to the sinister.